You can scream and shout with all your might.
Scream, shout, whine, cry, snivel, piss, moan, call your mommy.
Dig in your heels and hold on tight.
Shove your opinion up your ass. That way your head has something to keep it company.
Either you are wrong or I am right.
And don't forget, the ever-present, the most likely third possibility, you are wrong and I am right. Welcome to Stating the Obvious. Thank you. Thank you, really. Yes, I know. No, please, put your panties back on. Thank you so much. Welcome to Stating the Obvious, brought to you by the Cynical Libertarian Society. I am the Great One. I am going to launch the cruise missile of my intellect and destroy the feeble, intellectual, I use the word intellectual loosely, feeble intellectual arguments of my opponents. And if you disagree with me, you are wrong. And if you manage to survive, I will mow you down with my machine gun. Metaphorically speaking, of course, I don't actually mow people down with machine guns. Although, there are times when it's not a bad idea at all. Let me take care of the administrative things quickly here. This is the Cynical Libertarian Society's production, Stating the Obvious. It is hosted by me, the Great One himself. I am right. I am always right. I will always be right. I have always been right. And how, you ask, do I manage to do this? Very simple. I am never wrong. If you want to email me here at the Cynical Libertarian Society and tell me about my greatness, or make some feeble attempt to argue with me, you can do so. The email address is God, that's G-O-D, God, as in dog spelled backwards, God at 204eastsouth.com. I found that Christians, like the hardcore ones, get very upset if you point out to them that God spelled backwards is dog. I mean, I've seriously pissed some people off by pointing that out. Weird. The website for the Cynical Libertarian Society is 204eastsouth.com/CLS. That stands for Cynical Libertarian Society, for those of you who are a little slow, journalists, public school teachers, Democrats. And on the subject of questionable political affiliations, in the control room on the other side of the glass, where she can be seen and not heard the way all women should be, is the lovely, the adorable Randy. Randy is a Republican, but we try not to hold that against her, at least not all the time. Yes. Alright. It's been a while since I've been here because I got sucked back into the black hole of theater. Worked on this terribly, terribly depressing play in which somebody dies at the end. Every play the theater I work for does. Somebody has to die. They're terrible. Anyhow, I survived that. I remembered all the reasons why I stopped doing theater, namely the fact that everybody around me has a huge ego. And those of us who have huge egos really hate other people who have huge egos. And, of course, the other reason I stopped doing theater, well, the other two reasons are, first of all, everybody in theater is a fucking Democrat. And the other reason is that I just enjoy having a life and not having to go to the theater every single night of the week and do all the performances every weekend and all this other stuff. I survived, barely. I got my $250 stipend. Woohoo! Now I can, buy that new yacht I've been wanting. Let's move on. Let's talk about something important, folks, because we know why you're here. You are here to hear me, the Great One himself, give you guidance. What was that look for? Well, that's why they're here, for guidance. They're here. I'm serious. People are listening to this right now, going, "Please, great one, tell me what to think." Don't. Randy's not buying the bullshit, but but it's true. All right. I'm sorry. This is not guidance. This is me having a good time. Well, actually, us having a good time. All right. I subscribe. Where the pile? There it is. All right. I subscribe to Shape magazine. Now, many of you may be thinking, well, yeah, because he's probably masturbating to the pictures of the women in the workout outfits. And no, that's not true. At least not usually. No. I subscribe to Shape magazine because, first of all, they have good recipes, food recipes. Yeah, for those of you who think I'm making this up, I'm serious. The Great One himself is an excellent cook. I can wow anybody in the kitchen. No, don't go there. No. I'm trying now. Randy, let's keep this out of the gutter just for a little while. You know, for a Republican, you should have a dirty mind. I actually read somewhere. Where was it? I saw a study. And this is rather counterintuitive, but I saw a study somewhere that said Republicans, people who identify themselves as Republicans, are actually more, and I forget exactly how it was phrased, but like more, shall we say, sexually liberated and experimental than people who identify themselves as Democrats. Which was a little weird, because that does seem counterintuitive. When you think Republican, you don't really think, like threesomes and dildos in the ass and all that kind of stuff. That was it's out there somewhere. You can probably find it on the internet. What was I talking? Oh, dildos. Yes. No. Wait. Sorry. That's a different show. Shape magazine. Shape magazine had this article in here about this idiot who went to, where did she go? She went to Africa. Does it say which country? Not that it matters. She went to Africa to do missionary, peace, whatever. The point is, she had to go a year. That's right. Steady yourself. She had to go a year, 365 days, without her cell phone. Now, I remember the old days when everybody went without a cell phone. And I bring this up because cell phones bug the fucking hell out of me. I hate cell phones. I hate the fact that people, how many people, hold on, excuse me. Needed a drink of coffee there. What the fuck is wrong with you people and your cell phones? There's nothing worse than talking to somebody, their cell phone rings, they have to answer. Or now it's the text messaging thing. Well, I was doing the play. One of the little whippersnapper, snot-nosed fuckers in the cast actually said to me, email is like text messaging for old people. And I thought to myself, no, email is like communicating for people who don't want to ignore the person they're talking to right in front of them in order to push buttons on a little fucking cell phone. People, there is nothing that pisses me off more than I'm talking to somebody and they have to pull out their phone and send a little text message. It's like, excuse me, bitch, I'm here. What are you doing? It is so fucking rude. And all this, turn your sucking cell phones on vibrate when you go into a meeting or when you're in public or something like that. Are you, anyhow, but Randy's pointing out that I've done this rant somewhere before on stating the obvious, and she's right, I have. This has pissed me off for years. For the record, the Great One himself still does not own a personal cell phone. I do have a cell phone for work because it's necessary, but it's downstairs right now somewhere in the lobby or something. I don't know. It's someplace in my bag or something. It's on vibrate, and if it goes off, I don't really give a shit. My year without a cell phone. Here's her article. Listen. She writes, being unable to instantly reach out and touch my loved ones sent me into panic mode. Would I feel isolated and alone? Wow. She doesn't have her cell phone. She's going to feel isolated, and I would submit that if you don't have your cell phone and you feel isolated, there's something wrong with your mind. There's something wrong with you. Now, but listen to this. Listen to these stunning revelations. Now remember, human beings have existed for how many thousand years without cell phones? I mean, the Buddha attained enlightenment. We invented the wheel. We discovered how to make fire. I mean, we built skyscrapers. We fight wars. We went to the moon. Listen to these amazing discoveries she makes in her year without a cell phone. As time went on, without my phone, however, I discovered new ways of connecting. I started people watching, and you guys might want to sit down. Sit down, because listen to what she discovered. And even striking up conversations with strangers. What a great way to learn about another culture. There's an exclamation mark behind that sentence. You can talk to strangers. Why, imagine that. If you're not incessantly babbling into your cell phone, like, oh my god, like, I was at the bar last night, and like, oh my god, like, I was so drunk, and so, like, I was text messaging Bob, and like, oh my god, he was, like, text messaging me back, and then, like Stan, he text messaged me too, and like, oh my god, I'm text messaging 2 people at one time, oh my god, and I was, like, at the bar, and like, there was, and like, oh my god, I was text messaging, oh my god. Imagine that. If you don't have your fucking cell phone, you can talk to people you don't know, and you can learn things about them and their culture, and you can learn things other than who Bob is fucking, and who Stan is fucking, and who your girlfriends are fucking, and who's fucking your girlfriends, and all the other exciting things that you can talk about on your cell phone when you're like, oh my god, text messaging. But wait, my friends. Because when you come here, when you listen to Stating the Obvious, you come here for quality. Wait, it gets better. Wait. Listen to this. But the biggest benefit I derived from my cell phone-free existence was learning to show up on time, seeing as I couldn't call ahead to say I'd be late. All it took was a few frustrating missed rendezvous to teach me to be punctual, even early. I never knew that having a cell phone was an excuse to be late. I mean, I have a cell phone for work. It's job-related, and yet I still manage to make it to all my job-related functions on time. Sometimes even early. It never occurred to me. I have a cell phone. I have a meeting with my boss's boss today. I could just call her on the cell phone and say, oh my god, I'm going to be late. Look, I have a cell phone. Oh my god. Ah! Wow. She learned that she could be on time. But wait, my friends, it gets even better. If you're not sitting down yet, you'd better sit down now. Now, listen to this. And my newfound mindfulness spilled over into my personal relationships too. Once I was forced to rely on a payphone and prepaid calling card, I actually listened. The word listened is italicized. I actually listened to everything the person on the other end was telling me. Oh my god. Not only is she talking to strangers, not only has she learned how to show up on time. That's the sound of me crushing the article and throwing it into the trash can where shit like this belongs. She's learned that when you communicate with another person, if you actually listen to what the fuck they're saying, it will enhance your personal relationships. She should write a fucking book. Oh my god. Like, totally. Like, how many people could could learn and get value from this incredible experience of her. Think how this could change your life out there right now. You're sitting here, you're listening to Stating the Obvious, you're like texting on your cell phone right now, you're like sending a text, and then you're going to talk to somebody on the phone, and you're like, oh my god, like, I got so drunk last night, and like, oh my god, they're like 3 guys, and I think they might have fucked me, but I'm not sure, because I was like so drunk, I can't tell if like 1 guy fucked me 3 times, or like if 3 guys fucked me once, or maybe 5 guys fucked me 3 times, because maybe 2 of them, didn't have Viagra or something. Like, oh my god. Instead of just babbling incessantly in your cell phone because you're a social reject and misfit, you could actually listen to what the person you're talking to is saying and enhance your personal relationships. Is this like this is stunning shit? I mean, she's like a spiritual lead. Maybe she's a reincarnation of the Buddha. I don't know. It's amazing. Okay, how long did I spend ragging on cell phones? Let's see. Let me put this aside for a minute. Let's do this real quick. As I said, Shape magazine, every month they have a little poll. These are scary. I see this. Should I jump? Let me jump over here real quick for just a minute, because this is brief. Remember when Bill Clinton said, "I didn't have sex with that woman"? I mean, Hillary Clinton has already been rendered somewhat insignificant because she lost to Black Obama in the primaries or whatever it's called, and so now we're going to have an election between Black Obama and old white guy. This is going to be exciting. Anyhow, I love this. Clinton said, I remember landing under sniper fire. There was supposed to be some kind of greeting ceremony at the airport, but instead we just ran with our heads down to get into the vehicles to get to our base. Yes, Hillary Clinton landed under sniper fire. I did not have sex with that woman. Alright, back to... Sorry, I think it's funny. Hillary Clinton landing under sniper fire. Oh my god. Too bad they didn't get her. And we'll talk about Hillary Care later on. Of course, Hillary Care has also been rendered irrelevant now that we have an election between old white guy and Black Obama. But still, it's funny. Alright, Shape magazine. Every month they do these polls, and these are scary. I mean, this is some scary-ass shit, because you people who participate in these polls that are in front of me are allowed to make political decisions that affect the rest of us who live in this country. This is why I don't think you should be allowed to vote simply because you've been inhaling oxygen and metabolizing it into carbon dioxide for 18 years. Here's the question. Actually, there's 4 of these. All 4 of these are great. Should tanning beds be banned? Now, let's listen to this carefully. The question is, should tanning beds be banned? That is to say, banned. Excuse me. The Great One does not like burping into the microphone. That is almost as rude as text messaging somebody while you're talking. You will, however, quite frequently hear noises as I drink. Apologies for that as well. Should tanning beds be banned? As in should the government make laws against tanning beds? Should the government make laws? Remember, this is the land of the free. 24% of the people said yes, tanning beds should be banned. Listen to these quotes. With taxpayers left footing the bill for the uninsured, we should stop people from incurring needless skin cancer-related medical expenses. Well, why are the taxpayers footing the bill? Do we have socialized medicine? Why am I as a taxpayer paying for other people's medical costs? Isn't the solution here to stop using tax money to pay for people's medical care? That, to me, seems like the obvious solution, not banning tanning beds. My husband used tanning beds for 5 years, and now he has melanoma. His doctor has since given him a harsh warning about their dangers. A harsh warning. Sounds like something the government does. If you don't stop doing that over there in your country, we are going to issue a harsh warning. Listen to this one. This is great. Anything that's been linked to skin cancer should be banned. You know that big thing in the sky called the sun? See, that's a huge source of radiation. And yes, it's been linked to skin cancer, honey. Anything that's been linked to skin cancer should be banned. We are banning, effective today, the federal government has introduced a bill sponsored by Senator Kennedy to ban the sun. And as we read all these polls, listen to these questions, because you're going to hear a common thread here. The common thread is that the answer to everything is the government. The answer to everything is laws, regulations, government control. Listen to this. Should designers be allowed to hire underweight runway models? Now let's listen to this question. Should designers be allowed? Should they be allowed? That means, should designers have to have permission from the government to hire underweight runway models? And of course, the inverse of this question is to say, should hiring underweight runway models be made illegal? Listen to this. Should designers be allowed to hire underweight runway models? 36% said no. Hiring underweight runway models makes a significant statement about what our society values. Image, not health. No, it doesn't. Our society is not hiring them. The designers are. Models should be fit, because whether they like it or not, they set an example for many young girls. I submit that young girls should look elsewhere for their role models. Here we go. This is a good one. Skin and bones models make women who can't achieve these unrealistic standards feel bad about themselves. We need models we can look up to. No, what you need is to cultivate your own fucking ego and stop looking to other people for your inspiration and, your source of ego or what. I mean, you see, I have a hard time relating to this. Randy is in there nodding her head and laughing because she already knows what's coming. You see, I don't have role models because when your ego is as big as mine, you don't need role models. I am the great one. I don't look at people on television and go, "Oh, I should be like that." And I guess maybe this is something that you common little people do a lot. And you can't create anything yourself. You're only able to take what you see on the television and attempt to emulate that. Or, what you hear on your cell phone and emulate that. Or what somebody, text messages you and emulate that. Or what you see on I don't know. I don't understand this perspective. I am the great one. I am self-contained. I create my own reality. I create my own ethics. I create my own morals. I create my own standards. I create my own goals. I don't need to figure out who I am and what I want to be and where I should go and all this other shit by watching, especially, fashion models wearing clothes walking up and down a runway. This is not, and I'm sorry, it's one thing to say, well, I'm inspired by an astronaut, or I'm inspired by a politician, or I'm inspired by a great humanitarian, or I'm inspired by a world leader. But to get your inspiration from a fucking runway model? What kind of a loser? What kind of a loser are you? If you are out there right now listening to the great one, and you are inspired by runway models, you should consider killing yourself. Because you can't possibly have much value to the human race as a whole. And you're probably going to vote Democrat. Democrats are so easy. Alright, here we go. Should overweight travelers be required to buy an extra airplane seat? Again, the word is required. Now, first of all, I don't know about you people. I've been in an airplane, and there's armrest in there. How the hell? First of all, I think this is pretty simple. If you can't fit in one seat, do the armrest actually move? There's your first problem. I haven't been in an airplane in a while. If the armrests don't move, then how the hell are you going to have more than one seat anyhow? What are you going to do? There's things that baffle me. All right. Let me ask you people a question out there. You ever seen a really, really fat person? And I know. Wait, now is making fun of fat people still politically incorrect, or can we do that now? Because last time I checked, it's okay to humiliate and degrade smokers, but you're still not allowed to say anything about fat people. Because while smoking, makes people unhealthy, being fat apparently does not. I don't know either. Anyhow, here on Stating the Obvious, we make fun of fat people. Well, we don't necessarily make fun of them, we just don't treat them with kid gloves. So, let me ask you guys a question out there. Think about this. You ever seen a really, really fat person? A person that you know there's no way in hell, because they're so fat, that they could possibly reach back and reach their asshole. Their anus, in medical terminology. When that person takes a shit, how does he wipe his ass? Okay, I'll let you think about that for a while. If anybody has the answer, I'd appreciate letting me know. So, first of all, I'm not sure I understand the logistics of this. Because if the little divider, if the little armrest between the seats doesn't lift up so that you can spread out over more than one seat, this is irrelevant. Okay, but let's say it does. So, sure, if you can't fit in one seat, I think, obviously, you should have to buy two seats. You should have to. By the simple logistics. If you're taking up seat A and B in row 10, and I've got a ticket for seat B in row 10, and I can't fit in it because you're in it, obviously, we have a problem. You have to buy the other seat. But let's listen to this, let's listen to some of these things here. Now, interestingly, 59% said yes, overweight travelers should have to buy an extra seat. 41% said no. On the yes side, I've been in situations where I barely had a seat because a larger person was taking up half of it. It's unfair. Okay, well, obviously, then, the little armrest must come up, because otherwise, how could the person be... Well, I guess they could always lap over the armrest. Oh, that is... Oh, I don't even want to think about what that might look like. Just as those with additional baggage have to pay for it, travelers who bring extra weight on the plane should pay more, too. Now, there's an idea. Think about it. Fuel consumption is linked to weight. The more the plane weighs, the more fuel it's going to burn to get where it's going. You should pay by the pound. It makes sense. It actually makes sense. On the no side, the 41% who said no. Here we go. Requiring overweight individuals to purchase an extra seat ticket is akin to tagging them with a scarlet letter. Yes, because nobody's going to notice that they're fat. How's anybody know that they bought an extra seat? I think everybody's going to notice that they're fat. Plane seats are too narrow even for the average person. They need to be made bigger so all passengers can feel comfortable. Well, can't disagree with that. But of course, they are trying to stuff as many people in there as they can, which is the point. It's not fair to charge an overweight person for two seats. Some people have a physical condition that causes weight gain. Yeah, it's called being fat. It's called stuffing food in your mouth without any form of control. Airlines should create extended seating. All it would take is turning some 3-seat rows into ones with 2 oversized seats. Yeah, so you have a special fat row. Now that of course, then you're right back to the scarlet letter. Ooh, look who's sitting in the fat section. Alright, last one. This is scary. Should energy conservation be mandatory? Notice again the word mandatory. 79%. 79% of the people said yes. The people. Sounds like we're in the Soviet Union. The people say it's the people's paradise. 79% said yes. There are many easy ways to cut back on energy consumption, but some people will never do so unless they are required to. How much you want to bet this person has air conditioning, central heating, drives an automobile, watches television? Yes, there are many ways to cut back on energy consumption. We get start with you. We've proven that until someone tells us something is an emergency, we're not willing to sacrifice. Conservation needs to be as much of an issue as any political or social crisis. And of course this is why the environmentalists are so intent on constantly lying about what's actually going on with the environment as a whole. This is where the global warming... I am not going to sidetrack. I am working on the global warming. But have you noticed how global warming is slowly morphing into climate change? Because all the global warming predictions have continued to be wrong. Year after year after year, they predict, it's going to be so hot, and it never is. Every prediction made with the global warming scare has been wrong. And it's obvious. My favorite part is the winters are colder, and it's global warming. Wait, I thought global warming... See, so they've had to change it. It's slowly morphing. It's becoming climate change. Because now everything is climate change. It's Memorial Day here in Colorado. Outside it's gray and semi-cloudy. Cloudy goes with gray, duh. And it's like maybe 60 degrees or something. It's climate change. The snowpack in Colorado this year was like 120% of normal. Global warming? No. Climate change. Many people won't do their part unless there are mandatory restrictions. If that's what it takes to conserve energy, I support it. It's important to do everything we can do to conserve our limited resources. If individuals are not compelled to save energy, they're not likely to change. I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. If every person who believes in global warming, if every person who thinks that humans are destroying the earth, if all of these people who think that our energy consumption is destroying the earth, ruining the environment, also, if all of these people who claim to care so much about the environment, and my favorite is when they say, I want to have the smallest impact on the earth that I can. I want to be carbon neutral. There's another new buzzword, carbon neutral. If all of you people really want to have this minimal impact, if you want to save the earth, all this other stuff, you need to kill yourself. Because that is the way in which you will have the minimum impact on the planet Earth you can. As long as you're alive, driving around in your automobiles, using your air conditioning, watching your movies from Netflix, which are ferried back and forth in automobiles and trucks by the Postal Service, which are burning fossil fuels and polluting the environment, as long as you are alive, you are, by your own definition, destroying the environment. Yet I notice you don't believe in your beliefs enough to kill yourself and follow through on them. Going into the trash can. I fucking hate environmentalists. Why? Because of that reason. That's the main reason right there. It's like if you're it's like the overpopulation wackos who have children. The world is overpopulated. We're all going to starve to death. Oh, these are my 2 kids. Well, if we're overpopulated, why the fuck are you, of all people, reproducing? Of course, it's always the stupid people that reproduce. So to stupid people, before I forget, I need to mention, I saw in Time magazine that there's a little blurb in there that said, and this will show you how desperate, number one, how desperate the drug warriors are getting. It will also show you, number 2, how stupid you people are. We'll talk about stupid people in a minute. Where's the education stuff? There it is. It said in there that 1 marijuana cigarette has the same effect as smoking on the lungs. It has the same effect on the lungs as Excuse me. Excuse me again. Smoking one marijuana cigarette has the same effect on the lungs as smoking 5 regular cigarettes in rapid succession. Now, the drug warriors are so desperate, to come up with anything against marijuana. Now they're going to attempt to link it to lung cancer. But the really sad thing here is that people are going to believe this, and there is no evidence to support this whatsoever, and I say that for one simple reason. The federal government will not allow anybody to do experiments with marijuana. Because, of course, the reason being the federal government is terrified somebody's going to find out that, hey, look, marijuana has medicinal value. Because, gosh, nobody knows that already. I mean, all the people who, take, for example, their HIV drugs, it makes them nauseous and everything. They smoke the marijuana, they're fine. I mean, we know from practical experience that marijuana has medicinal value, but the federal government is terrified of any type of scientific studies that are actually going to show this. And so it is illegal to do any type of experiment with marijuana unless you get the permission from the federal government. And the federal government has not given anybody permission. Therefore, there cannot possibly be any valid, objective, scientific experiments which offer evidence to support the thesis that smoking one marijuana cigarette is the equivalent of smoking 5 normal cigarettes in succession. This is pure, obvious bullshit. But because you people out there are so fucking dumb, you buy the bullshit. Here's how dumb you are. This is this is from Time magazine also. I got a stack of Time magazines from my mother. I personally do not read Time magazine, but since she sent them to me, I looked through them, and there was some funny stuff in there. And of course, it reminded me of why I don't read Time magazine. There's some scary shit in there too. Yeah, alright, I'll do that later. So surprisingly enough, apparently, according to this cute little map in here, I found this interesting. This is comparing 4th grade math and 4th grade reading, and then 8th grade math and 8th grade reading. And it is about, let's see, achievement level below basic. So it's comparing achievement levels in these standards across the states. And fascinatingly enough, California, which, we all know is California is, first of all, let's get the hippies, the dope smokers. I know, I'm in favor, I shouldn't say that. I am opposed to criminalizing marijuana, but I still make fun of dope smoking hippies. California, hippie land, dope smokers, Hollywood, Democrats, all those other freaks. But, on a more serious side, California is, politically speaking, a state with a lot of pull. Things that happen in California do tend to spill over into other places. California is kind of this testing ground for political ideas and stuff, not all of which are successful. And I don't say that as an insult for once. Seriously, they do a lot of things there that probably would not fly in other states. So California is, and in many ways, I think rightly so, held as, a state that other states look to and say, what was done in California? Did this work in California? Blah, blah, blah. So given this reputation that it has, deserved reputation that it has, I thought it was interesting to see that the kids in California are some of the dumbest in the entire nation. And in fact, are in every category measurably dumber than the kids in Texas. And I compare it, of course, to Texas, mostly because I am a Texan, not because George Bush is a Texan. Although, George Bush's credentials as a Texan are questionable. The best thing, of course, is that by having Bush elected president, we got him out of Texas for 8 years and pawned him off on the rest of you suckers. I can't believe you dumb fucks. I can't believe you dumb fucks elected him twice. The first time, okay, but and this is why I'm gonna Randy's running for cover. I can't help it. I can't believe you dumb fucks elected him the second time. And this is why I'm looking at the upcoming election. I wasn't going to talk about the upcoming election yet, but I can't help it. I'm looking at this upcoming election, and over here we've got old white guy. And believe me, McCain, give me a while, I'm going to get around to him. Where the fuck did the Republicans find McCain? I mean, of all the people. And as we were going into this, I was thinking, I said, who the hell are the Republicans going to run this year? They're not going to run Cheney. There's no way in hell they're going to run Cheney. I mean, that was just out of the question. Nobody's that stupid. So I was looking at this, and I'm thinking, who the hell are the Republicans going to run? And to me, that was possibly even more interesting than who the Democrats were going to run. Because typically, the vice presidents step up and blah, blah, blah. So I was really interested to see who the Republicans were going to chunk out there. And we ended up with McCain. And I'm looking at this, I'm going, somebody in the federal government is smoking some of that illegal marijuana. Something's going on up there. So we got McCain. Listen to me, people. The Republicans are running John McCain for president. I mean, this is a joke. This has got to be a joke. I mean, seriously, they're gonna, like, in a month or they're gonna come April Fools are really running this guy over here. This McCain, we were just kidding about McCain. And you know what? If anybody can lose an election to John McCain, it's going to be the Democrats. Trust me. I have faith. The Democrats can lose it. They lost the last election. George Bush, the shittiest president in recent memory, and we all know that the memory of the American public is short. A man who started the war in Iraq with no obvious way out of this. I mean, the Democrats lost to him. I could have run a fucking rubber duck. I could have run a dead woodchuck. I could have run a 12-year-old retarded hermaphrodite against George Bush and beat him. But no, the Democrats, only the Democrats have what it takes to actually lose an election to George Bush. After he's had 4 years to prove he's an idiot. I mean, the first election I can understand. But he had 4 years to embarrass himself publicly, and the Democrats still managed to lose him. So, all I'm saying here is, McCain, don't be surprised if McCain wins, because if anybody can lose this upcoming presidential election, it's the Democrats. They have proven over and over and over that they are incompetent, nincompoop like idiots. How I got here from education, I'm not really sure, but I did. So anyhow, the point is, the people in California are stupider than almost anybody else in the nation, and measurably stupider than Texas. That's the school kids, anyhow. 4th grade math. This is the percentage of students with achievement levels below basic. For 4th grade math, 27 to 30% of California students. For 4th grade reading, it's 36 to 52%. 52%. 8th grade math and 8th grade reading, 36 to 52% of the students in California have achievement levels below basic. And, you got to figure the achievement levels that set the standard for basic probably aren't that high. It's public education. I got through that pretty quick. I'm impressed. That pile actually went quicker than I expected it to. Randy, how are we doing on time over there? I'm trying to think, should I go on or should I babble? Time Magazine, also article here, tattoo bans. I think this is hilarious. People are coming up in arms. Oh, I'm so punny. People are getting up in arms because various institutions they work for, such as the Palo Alto, California Police Department, are banning sleeve tattoos. so they can't have tattoos all up and down their arms unless they're up in arms. I'd say that again, just for those of you who missed it the first time. It's hilarious when entities, especially government entities, are doing this, making it illegal for you to work for them and smoke cigarettes. Excuse me 1 minute. That was me having a nice, cool, refreshing drink of water. When entities make it illegal to work for them and smoke cigarettes, nobody gets upset. Numerous governments across the countries at state and local, well, I don't know about state, at least at local level, have made it illegal to work for them and smoke. Even smoking in your own home. I'm not talking about smoking at work. That's perfectly okay. But when you ban tattoos, people get upset. What is it about tattoo? What's this whole tattoo thing anyway? This is another thing I don't understand, along with role models. I don't understand the whole body mutilation thing. I mean, why do you people need to have pieces of metal stuck in your face and pictures imprinted on your skin and stuff? I mean, do you really think you're so ugly that that's going to help you look better? Because I got news for you. It's probably not. I think you're maybe beyond hope. I don't know. Just a thought. All right. Anyhow, I thought this was just hilarious. And apparently one of the groups which is banning sleeve tattoos is the Marine Corps. Whoa! I found this under the pile. This should be in the pile. There's piles. There's piles everywhere in here. If you people could only see the mess that is the recording studio of the Cynical Libertarian Society. Now check this out. Where is it? 53% of all Americans, 53%, now depend on the government for their income. These are findings from, where's the guy's name? Economist Gary Schilling. It says here that he totaled up federal, state, and local government workers, plus private sector workers who owe their jobs to the government, plus recipients of Social Security, other transfer payments, and benefits such as food stamps. He also tacked on the dependents of those direct beneficiaries. After adjusting his figures to avoid double counting, Schilling found that for each person earning his pay in the private sector and paying taxes, there is at least one more person relying on a check from the government. So in fact, those of us who are actually working for a living are not just supporting ourselves, we're supporting a second individual as well. I think that everybody who has a real job should be able to write one of these people off on their income tax as a dependent. Anyhow, he predicts the number of government beneficiaries will grow to 60% of the U.S. population by 2040. Let's see. Here's some of the stuff he came up with. The upper 1%. Now, I love this too, because we always hear about how the rich people need to pay more taxes and all this other shit. The upper 1% of all income earners earned 19% of all income. So the richest 1%, the super mega rich Bill Gates, Michael Jackson, Charlie Sheen, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Anyway, the richest 1% earned 19% of all income, but paid 36.9% of all federal income tax. Now listen to this again. The richest 1% of the population, is paying 36.9% of the income taxes, federal income taxes. And all we hear about is how the rich aren't paying their fair share. The upper 5% earned 33.4% of all income, but paid 57.1% of all federal income taxes. Let me say this again slowly for those of you who vote Democrat. The richest 5%, which includes a whole lot of politicians who are Democrats, the richest 5% are paying 57.1% of all federal income taxes. The upper 10% paid 70.8% of such taxes. Finally, the top 40%, the top 40%, my mouth is not working right. The top 40% of richest people in America paid 99.1% of all federal income taxes. That means the bottom 60% of wage earners. Now listen to this. The bottom 60%, people at 43,000. Is that right? Am I writing this right? Yes, 43,000 a year or less. Everybody in the United States making 43,000 a year or less paid 0.9% of all federal income taxes. And all we hear about is how the rich need to pay their fair share. What about the fucking poor people? Do you realize 60% of wage earners are paying 0.9% of income taxes? Schilling's estimate breaks down as follows. About 20% work directly. This is talking about where's the number? The 53% that are on the government dole. Listen to this. 20% work directly for the government or for companies tied to it. 20% or so receive Social Security or a government pension. The remaining 13% or so are receiving education grants, subsidized housing, food stamps, or all of the above. And this is not even including Medicare, Medicaid, or in earned income tax credit. There it is. The poor people need to pay their fair share. Alright, we will be back, as always. I keep coming back. There's nothing you can do about it.